guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Lunch Breaks with John. I'm John, your host, and it's time for another Lunchtime TV special. Today's episode is going to be about the Disney Plus streaming service. I know the last time I talked about HBO Max and some of my favorite TV shows on there and the different benefits and perks of that platform, but today's going to be about Disney Plus, so I'm going to go ahead and go straight forward and just dive right into this episode talking about Disney Plus. Kind of like the last time on the HBO Max one, where I had a list of some of my favorite shows. This isn't in any particular order of like my favorite to least favorite or anything. It's strictly just a list of some of my favorite shows on there. And then I'll talk about some other benefits and stuff about Disney Plus as well. All right, so the first one that I want to talk about on this list is the show The Mandalorian. I'm sure many of you have probably heard of that show. It's a Star Wars series about a Mandalorian bounty hunter, kind of like Jango Fett and Boba Fett. It kind of takes off, I think, like after Star Wars Episode 6, after the second Death Star is destroyed and the Empire is kind of crippled. It's a really entertaining show. It has a very unique storyline and filming style. I've even heard some people compare it to like a space western, and I think that's a pretty accurate description of the show. If you kind of think of the Mandalorian as like Clint Eastwood going after these different criminals and fugitives, but in space across the galaxy and stuff like that. So it's a really cool show. It's also directed by a great team of directors, including one of my favorite directors named Jon Favreau. He's directed like the Iron Man movies and several other good movies and things like that. So I would definitely recommend watching The Mandalorian. Even if you're not a huge Star Wars fan like I am, I would still say go watch it. I know some people that have never really watched Star Wars that enjoyed watching The Mandalorian. So I think maybe you would too as well. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. The second series that I want to talk about on here is the Loki series. Loki pretty much takes off where he disappears from the Avengers in Endgame. He winds up getting arrested by the TVA, which is also known as the Time Variance Authority. They're basically an agency that's dedicated to protecting and preserving the sacred timeline. That's what they call it. Keeping everything in one universe and not allowing it to branch into a bunch of different multiverses and alternate realities. So that's kind of the purpose of the TVA, is to try to keep everything in one timeline. Loki winds up helping them for a little bit, but then later he tries to take them down. And then at the end, it looks like it's kind of going to be leading into a multiverse type storyline, or with a bunch of different alternate realities and stuff. So it looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to. They confirmed a season 2 for that show, and it looks like. Oh, I also just saw they just released the trailer for SpiderMan No Way Home. I think that's what it's called, and it looks like it's kind of falling in line with this as well, where it's kind of branching off into a multiverse type story, which looks really cool. I would just be shocked and totally amazed if they decided to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield into the next Spider-Man movie, if they did like a multiverse crossover between all three of the main Spider-Man actors. So that would be really cool if they did that, and I hope that they do. That's going to be coming out around this Christmas, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. The third show that I want to talk about is the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's pretty much self-explanatory. It's about the Falcon, or Sam Wilson, and the Winter Soldier, also known as Bucky Barnes. It pretty much takes off after the events of Avengers Endgame. They wind up teaming up together. There's a little bit of a love-hate relationship between them. I like their dynamic, and they're kind of riffing off each other and stuff like that. I think it's a really cool show. If you liked movies like Captain America Winter Soldier or Captain America Civil War, I definitely think you'll enjoy this show, because it has that kind of same like political thriller type vibe to it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend watching that show as well. And there's also, it features Zemo in it, the main bad guy from Captain America Civil War. You don't want to miss that either. So, all right, And the fourth show I want to talk about is WandaVision. It's a really good show as well. It's about Wanda Maximoff and Vision, two of the Avenger characters. Wanda Maximoff is also known as Scarlet Witch, but I think she'll, even though they haven't really called her that in the Avengers movies yet, I think she kind of becomes Scarlet Witch at the end of this series. It's a really cool show. It's another one of those unique filming styles. It starts off as sort of like a sitcom from like the 1940s or 50s, like I Love Lucy or Leave It to Beaver. It's black and white at the beginning, that old-timey sitcom vibe. And then as each episode progresses after that, it's kind of like it moves from one decade to another. The sitcom style adapts to each decade. It gets into a lot of like science fiction and magic type stuff as well, which gets a little bit confusing kind of, but I'll probably have to rewatch it just so I can completely understand it, because it starts to get a little bit confusing later on in the series. But it's a really good show as well. I would definitely recommend watching it. All right, and then number 5 on the list is Marvel's What If. Now this is an animated show about the MCU, where in each episode it shows an alternate reality of what could have happened in the MCU if things have gone differently than in the movies. Now I've only seen 2 episodes so far, but they're both really good. In the first one, it shows what would have happened to Agent Carter if she had taken the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers, and I really enjoyed that. I actually thought it was better than the first Captain America movie. I said what I said, fight me. But anyway, it was really good though. Also, the second episode is about what if T'Challa became Star-Lord instead of Peter Quill, and that was definitely an interesting story as well. So yeah, definitely check that out if you wind up getting on Disney Plus and you're a Marvel fan. I would recommend that for sure. All right, and number 6 on here on my list is The Clone Wars. Now, I haven't really gotten very far into the Clone Wars series, but I did watch a few episodes and they're pretty good so far. I've also watched some of the spin-off series called The Bad Batch, which follows a group of clone troopers as well. And it starts off around the events of Order 66, whenever Emperor Palpatine orders the clones to kill the Jedi off and everything like that. So that one's pretty good so far. I definitely look forward to going further into both of those series. I've heard some people say that they're even as good as, or some people say maybe that they're better than some of the Star Wars movies. I don't know if that's true or not, but I guess I'll find out shortly after I watch some of these shows. And lastly, number 7 on my list is The Simpsons. This is another great benefit of having Disney Plus, because it also features the entire Simpsons series, which it's just a classic series, a classic show. I grew up watching The Simpsons, and it's just so funny sometimes. So if you're kind of on the fence about getting Disney Plus, at least you know it has The Simpsons as well, so that's one more reason to consider getting it. All right, and some other benefits of having Disney Plus, I'll go ahead and list them here. The first one is it has all the Star Wars movies on there, so if you're a Star Wars nut like I am, you'll definitely enjoy it for that. You can binge all of the Star Wars movies or have a Star Wars movie marathon and just do it all from Disney Plus. So you don't have to worry about buying all those movies or anything. Just do it off of Disney Plus. Then you have the Marvel movies, or all the MCU movies. I think it has all of them except for maybe 3 of the movies right now. 2 of those being the SpiderMan movies in the MCU. And I think they're working on getting those in. It's just, I think they haven't got on yet because of some legal agreement between Sony and Disney or something like that, having the rights to Spider-Man. And then also I noticed that they didn't have the Incredible Hulk on there. I don't know if they just decided that doesn't really fit into the MCU storyline, or I'm not sure exactly why they don't have that movie on there. But I noticed that as well as we've been going over the MCU movies again. And then the third benefit that I listed is it has all of the classic Disney movies. If you just like to watch those old classic movies like Aladdin, Snow White, Alice in Wonderland, things like that, you can pretty much find all of those on Disney Plus. It also has some of the newer Disney movies like the Pixar movies, such as The Incredibles, Monsters, Inc., Toy Story. You can find a lot of those movies on there as well. And then lastly, you have all the other Disney Channel shows and just a lot of other good kids shows and movies and things like that. Those are some of the benefits of having Disney Plus. Well, guys, this pretty much wraps up the Disney Plus edition of Lunchtime TV specials on here. But if you'll let me know in the comments which streaming platform you'd like to see me do an episode about in the future, I definitely want to hear your suggestions and recommendations, and maybe even list some of your favorite shows or movies on those, and I'd like to talk about those. But we're going to go ahead and end this episode now. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel, and make sure to like this video, comment on it, let me know what you liked about it, what you didn't like. And until next time, we'll see you on the next Lunch Breaks with John. Have a good day.